All right. So, hello, Peter.
Hello,
Let
Davor. Good to see you
let's
again.
Good to see you again. Let's start with first question. For the people who never heard about this, what is Vidoscope? And also, you have a lamp. And what does it measure?
Hmm.
Yeah, how that works?
Yeah. Well, this is the Wyrdoscope. It's got inside it two random event generators, which are generating ones and zeros really fast using a quantum process. So nothing in the material, in the physical world, can influence them. But what they found at research at the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab over 28 years is that people's intention and strong shared group experience actually influences the random data. And you can see structure in the data that correlates with people's experiences in the room as well as people's intentions. So basically, that's what it does. It tracks, you could say, the field of consciousness in a space, and you can see in the data like what the probability is that a certain peak happens at a certain time, and match it against the experience in the room.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. That's why I was like, I'm organizing that ecstatic dance event, and I was like, oh yeah, let's do the science and see if something happens. I mean, when we are dancing, I feel it. It's some kind of energy, but I don't know, yeah, how to measure it. And you have device, and now we
Yeah.
can go and do
I mean,
that.
we could actually bring a light, the weird light as well, like this, because that will probably respond to what's happening in the room visually. So whereas the weirdoscope, just tracks the data, the light actually responds visually to what's happening. So we could do both. And the light responds. So the light gets brighter, the more coherent the field is, you could say, the more structure comes into the random data. And then it has different colors that reflect different data structures. And those have no pre-assigned meaning, but often meaning emerges in a local context for the colors. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. There's also one other thing that what I heard that all the original devices from Princeton Peer Lab come to your place.
Yeah.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so they had originally the Pear Lab. They had these big mechanical devices to see if again things could affect randomness, and then they moved on to the digital technology. And we currently have all of that equipment on loan from ICRL, which was like the organization that they set up, Pear Lab set up afterwards, installed at the Weird Experience in Broughton Sanctuary in the north of England. So people can come in and experience themselves influencing the technology and see the original historical technology that was used to do really some very groundbreaking research.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we can go to England and play with it.
Yeah, you can. People can come, particularly for the science and consciousness event in October if they're interested. Yeah.
Ah, cool. We can share that link also
Mm.
later on. Uh, yeah, let's go to the other question. Yeah, you already said something, but for the most people like who are skeptical, what did Peer Lab actually prove in those years? What is the strongest evidence that they bring it to yeah from their research?
Yeah, I mean, it's really that people's intention can affect what should be otherwise random events in the world around us.
Okay.
So from the mechanical devices where they had like, 9,000 balls falling over a bunch of pegs to create a chaotic system, a thing that looks, we did have something that looks a bit like it here. And but this is, you got to imagine then something which is maybe 3 meters tall on the wall, and these balls fall over these pegs, and then they would normally go in a random distribution curve.
Yeah.
They would have people sit in front of it and try to make more balls move to the right or left, and found that people were able to do so. It was small but repeatable effects. And they had other devices like a pendulum people should influence, like a fountain people should influence, like a little robot scuttling around the table that people should influence with their intention. All different interfaces really to explore the same thing, which is, can our inner state affect the world around us? And then they moved on to the digital technology, which we then further developed for the Weird tech.
Yeah. So can you tell more, because you work also with Dr. Volhard Janu, and you also won the first prize of Linda O'Brien Prize from the Institute of Neotic Sciences. So can you tell us more about it? About your product?
Yeah, I mean, the first request they had was for research that showed that the brain extends, or the mind extends beyond the brain.
Okay.
And so that is what, based on this technology, that's what we proposed. And they liked, I think, the rigor of the science around it and the new technology, the fact how we'd further develop the Princeton work. And so, there's a number of universities using the Wyrdoscope. For example, we have Princeton. Well, not Princeton, Harvard Medical School took it to an event with Sadhguru last year, and
all right.
the Sadhguru walks into the room, you see this massive peak in the data. So, and then Northampton University in the UK have been using it to study the field during football games, and there's Virginia University are looking at it to see what happens when people have out-of-body experiences. And can you correlate the EEG data with the Weird data? And they found some very interesting correlations. They're working on a paper now. So yeah. I mean, it's great that there's a whole bunch of universities as well as other institutions like Monroe Institute, for example, which is one of the most established in this area, is using it to research their Gateway project and their training program, and see, during the training program, when do you get the biggest kind of structures in the data. So
amazing. All the universities, and of course Monroe Institute, that's a pretty good known name on the out of body and experiences. Amazing. I'm also I also built some app, but it's not that advanced as your machine. It's just simple seeing if there is some more zeros or ones. Can you tell more about Wyrdoscope and what does it measure? Is it only if there is more ones or zeros, or do you measure even more? Can you comment on that?
No, it's measuring more than that. I mean, the original PairLab technology that was then put out there by Celeron was a single random event generator. And with that, they were looking at, more ones or zeros, basically. They were looking at the deviation from randomness.
Yeah.
But what Volhard Janu discovered, our chief scientist, was that if you had two of these devices in the same room when people were having a strong experience, you started to see the data streams doing similar things. So that was a kind of breakthrough moment for him. And so he built an algorithm that looks at the correlations between the two random data streams. So we're not just looking at deviation from randomness with more ones or zeros. We're looking at, for example, do the two REGs do the same thing? Do they stick together? Right? Do they mirror each other? You sometimes see a mirror effect. Do they get statistical significance at the same time? So there are different kinds of patterns in the data, all of which show statistical significance. And with that, we're able to see a lot more of the field than with the single REG. We reckon about 30% or so of what's going on, we kind of register in the data at the moment. And the other thing that having the two REGs and the patterning means we can do is we're starting to see what we believe to be qualia in the data. So up till now, with the pair work and other research, it's really been about the size of the effect, the size of the deviation from randomness. Well, we think we've started to see, for example, structures of the states of consciousness in the data. So waking, dreaming, deep sleep, non-dual state seem to look different. And right now we're starting a research project that we got funding for to look at the emotions, see if we can see the structure of emotions within the data.
Amazing.
So we're actually still doing that in Amsterdam in a couple of weeks, using a particular method that actors have learned to activate emotions, an embodied approach, to see whether we can actually see the emotions within the data. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. That's amazing. I would love to see the results on that.
Yeah, so will I.
Yeah, yeah, great, great. So yeah, so we have a Sufi edition on our
Mm.
ecstatic dance event, and we would like to measure all those data with the Wyrdoscope and also the lamp that you have. So yeah, can you share? Are you coming? What kind of device you're
Yeah.
gonna bring, and how you gonna set it up, or how do you gonna
Mm.
measure everything?
Well, yeah, I mean, ecstatic dance, is a perfect example of the kind of conditions where you'd expect to see structure in the data because there's a strong connection between the people in the room. It's not rational; it's much more emotional and energetic. And if you're adding a Sufi dimension to it, that'll bring in a certain quality of presence, I expect, into the participants. And all of that tends to show up in the data. So the weirder scope, will just be able to place somewhere. The more, if people are just aware it's there, that will help because what happens is you get an entanglement
Okay.
in the system. So the people, when they're there and they're dancing to this kind of music and things, that's what entangles them into one system. And then you basically insert the weirder scope into that entangled system, and it will read the field of what's going on in it. So it'd be good just, for people to know it's there. And the light we can just put somewhere, that people can see, and it'll probably end up pulsing, with the field and reflecting the experience that the participants are having at the time. So that'll be nice to have that kind of feedback. It's like
Yeah,
field
yeah.
feedback device. Yeah.
That would be amazing. So you're coming at 31 of March,
Yeah, that's the plan.
and then we're gonna measure the field and what's actually happening.
Yeah, and then
Amazing.
afterwards we'll drop the data into the analysis software, and we'll see when it was peaking or not. What you have to do then during the event is just make a note of the key moments, because then that's the metadata, and then we can correlate the field data with the metadata and see if there are matches between them. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I can't wait. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm very excited, and thank you for taking time to come to event, and happy to see you there.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for the invite. It should be pretty exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All right, then till then.
See you on the 31st. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Bye bye.
Bye.